In the darkness of a small wooden room, the sound of broken, uneven breaths echoed faintly. Diep dreamed of an outstretched hand, reaching toward her, trying to hold her. But no matter how hard she tried, she could never touch it. Wind howled through the cracks in the door, blending with a trembling whisper. "Dad, Mom, why did you leave me?" She murmured through her dream, tears soaking her pillow, her lips quivering like a lost child abandoned in the middle of life's marketplace. Diep jolted awake, gasping for air, her heartbeat racing. The quiet inside the wooden-walled room pressed down on her chest. Morning light slipped through the narrow gaps in the boards, spilling across her face still wet with tears. She sat up, clutching the old blanket tightly, as if holding on to the last bit of warmth left in her world. Welcome to today's story, a chapter where Diep's buried pain rises once more, and the harsh truth of her past finally begins to surface. If you love emotional stories like this one, please leave me a comment, give a like, and don't forget to subscribe so we can continue this journey together. One story, one heartbeat at a time. Morning light crept gently over the horizon as Diep finished the last of her laundry. A soft breeze rustled through the banana leaves, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and the distant crowing of roosters. The sound of water sloshing in the wash basin echoed softly across the small yard, blending with the lingering mist that clung to the leaves. Then, a voice called out. Diep turned and froze. It was Pau. For a moment, her heart trembled. That man, the one who had once been her husband, the man who had made her taste every kind of pain during their time together. The nights of drunken rage, the blows without reason, the evenings when she sat alone in the dark kitchen, pressing bruised skin and trying not to cry aloud. And now, Pau stood before her again, thinner, quieter, his eyes lowered, shadowed by something he hadn't yet found the courage to say. Why are you here?" Her voice quivered, unable to hide the guarded edge beneath it. Pau was silent for a few seconds before he finally spoke, his tone low and hesitant. "I just wanted to see you. There's something I think you need to know." The wind stirred, tugging lightly at the blanket in Diep's hands. She stood still, her eyes uncertain, caught between fear and confusion. Though her heart was still scarred, there was something different in Pau's gaze today, something that made her pause instead of turning away. And at that very moment, a secret was about to be revealed, a secret from the past that Diep thought had been buried forever. Diep lowered her head, avoiding Pau's gaze. A long silence stretched between them in the small yard, broken only by the rustling of bamboo leaves and the chirping of young birds on the roof. After a moment, she spoke softly, her voice trembling just enough to betray her unease. "Come in. Have a cup of tea." Her tone was calm, polite but cautious, as if she was trying to hide the turmoil inside. Pau nodded and followed her in, his steps slow and heavy. In the small yard, Diep poured tea. Her hands shook slightly, the hot liquid spilling over the rim of the cup. She placed it in front of him, then sat down opposite, eyes fixed not on him, but on the old teapot between them, its thin trail of steam rising and curling like a sigh. Pau smiled faintly, a tired, awkward smile. "Don't be afraid, Diep. I'm not that man anymore. I didn't come here to cause trouble. I just need to tell you something, and then I'll go." His voice was rough, low. the kind that only comes from years of guilt. Diep finally looked up, her eyes wary, confused. "I know I did terrible things," Pao continued, his fingers tightening around the teacup. "But today, I didn't come to ask for forgiveness. I came to tell you a truth, something you deserve to know, something that might change everything." Diep's brows furrowed, her heartbeat quickening. What is it, Pao?" she asked, her voice trembling. He drew a long breath, then met her gaze, steady, sorrowful. "Your parents are still alive." The world seemed to stop. Even the wind outside the porch fell silent. The only sound was Diep's heart pounding in her chest. "What did you just say?" "My parents. They're alive?" Her voice cracked. Those words sliced through her mind like a blade, tearing open the memories she thought had long been buried. All her life she'd believed her parents had died in an accident, a story told by the aunt who raised her. Her childhood had been quiet, lonely, built on the acceptance that she was an orphan, that solitude was her fate. And now, with just a few words from the man she once feared most, her entire world collapsed. "That can't be true. My aunt said they died years ago. Where did you hear this?" Diep stammered, tears welling in her eyes. Pao lowered his head, his voice thick and low. "My parents told me. They said your mother and father are alive, but they chose to leave you behind, and they made your aunt lie, so you would never go looking for them." Diep froze. Her hand slipped from the edge of the table, and the first tear fell, landing silently in the steaming cup of tea between them. Inside her, a flood of broken memories rose all at once. Flashes of her childhood, her gentle aunt, those lonely nights when she dreamed of arms she'd never known. She wanted to believe Pao was mistaken, but the truth in his eyes, tinged with regret and pity, made denial impossible. And in that small wooden house, where the faint scent of dried tea leaves lingered in the air, Diep sat motionless, as if everything she had ever believed in had just shattered into silence. While Diep was still shaken by Pao's revelation from the night before, somewhere else, James was already beginning a new day of work. He stood in the middle of a small forest, where the canopy of green leaves cast shifting shadows along the narrow path. In front of him lay the plot of land where he planned to build a wooden house, not grand or luxurious, but strong, warm, and safe enough for a fragile woman like Diep to one day call home. Amid the hum of machinery and the distant calls of workers, James listened intently as they discussed the construction plans. He asked precise questions about the timber, the alternative materials, and the reinforcement methods, carefully calculating every detail to make the house both sturdy and simple, without losing the rustic charm he envisioned. "I don't need it to be luxurious," James said firmly. "It just needs to last, and to feel warm." This is a house for someone special, even in the midst of work. He didn't forget to call Diep. His voice through the phone was gentle, yet full of concern. "You've lost weight lately. Promise me you won't overwork yourself, okay?" After the call, Diep sat quietly on the porch, the soft breeze rustling through the bamboo, sunlight glinting off the thatched roof. But inside, her heart was heavy. James had told her to rest, to take care of herself, yet she couldn't sit still. Because the moment she stopped moving, her mind began to spiral, replaying questions that had no answers, about her parents, her past, and Pao's haunting words from yesterday. She rose, rolled up her sleeves, and threw herself back into her daily chores, the only thing that seemed to steady her. Diep checked the chicken coop, gathering each freshly laid egg with careful hands. Her fingers trembled slightly, but her eyes stayed focused, holding on to rhythm, onto routine, as if the small acts of living could drown out the storm inside. "I have to keep busy," she whispered to herself. "If I stop, I'll start thinking again." The small white eggs nestled in the basket looked fragile, yet somehow full of quiet hope. A reminder that she was still here, still able to take care of herself. She slung the basket over her shoulder and began the walk down the muddy dirt path toward the morning market. Her rubber sandals left soft prints on the ground, mingling with the sounds of birds and vendors waking up to the day. But amid the chatter and color of the bustling market, Diep felt a strange emptiness settle inside her chest. Pau's words echoed relentlessly in her mind, blending with James's tender voice from that morning. "Your parents are still alive." The phrase cut through her heart like a blade, sharp, cold, and impossible to ignore. After leaving the market, Diep made up her mind. She would go to her uncle's house and ask the truth about her parents, once and for all. The old iron gate creaked open. Diep bowed her head slightly, her voice trembling. "Uncle, I need to ask you something. Is it true that my parents are still alive?" Mr. Kien froze. For a brief second, his tired eyes flickered with something. Surprise, hesitation, guilt. He turned away quickly, pouring tea to avoid her gaze. "Who told you that?" "That's not true. Your parents, they passed away a long time ago." "But someone said they didn't die." Diep's voice cracked, her hands clutching the hem of her shirt. "They just left me, didn't they? Tell me the truth, Uncle. Did they abandon me when I was little?" Silence filled the small room, heavy and suffocating. The faint buzz of mosquitoes and the slow creak of the ceiling fan only made the emptiness between them louder. Finally, Mr. Kien spoke, his tone weary, almost pleading. "Diep, don't dig up the past anymore. It won't do you any good." But Diep's teary eyes wouldn't leave his face. This was the man she had respected all her life, the one who had raised her, who had been her only family. She wanted to believe him, yet something deep inside whispered that he was lying. Without another word, she stood up, bowed slightly, and turned toward the gate. The afternoon light fell through the trees, scattering golden flecks across her back as she walked away, and just as her figure disappeared beyond the gate, Mr. Kien's voice broke behind her, hoarse, trembling. "Diep, the truth is, your parents are still alive, but they abandoned you. They don't deserve for you to go looking for them." Diep stopped. Her whole body went rigid. Those words fell heavy, like a blade carving straight into her heart. The world around her blurred. Even the cicadas seemed to fall silent in the burning afternoon air. She turned back slowly, tears clouding her vision. Her lips trembled, trying to form words, but nothing came out. Diep walked on, each step heavy, as if she were carrying the weight of her entire childhood, torn apart in a single moment. The sky grew dim. Gray clouds gathered fast, swallowing the last traces of sunlight. The wind picked up, sweeping dust and dry leaves into spirals that danced wildly in the air. With an empty basket strapped to her back, Diep trudged down the narrow dirt path toward home. Each step wavered, unsteady. Her strength long spent, her spirit drained. Then came the first rumble of thunder. A sudden downpour crashed from the heavens. Cold rain slapped against her face, streamed down her neck, mingling with the tears she hadn't yet wiped away. She tried to run, but her legs trembled, refusing to obey. Through the curtain of rain, she barely caught sight of the house gate in the distance, before everything around her blurred. Her body gave way. The basket tumbled aside, the sound drowned by the relentless roar of the storm. Rain pounded the ground, merging with the low thunder rolling across the hills, as if the sky itself wept for her pain. The gate creaked open in the wind. Diep lay motionless beneath the old tree, her hair plastered to her face, her skin pale against the dark earth. And then, through the torrent, headlights cut across the rain. A pickup truck skidded to a stop on the roadside. James threw the door open and jumped out, unbothered by the downpour. "Diep! Diep!" His voice cracked with panic. When his eyes found her, lying there, fragile, soaked, still, his heart stopped. He dropped to his knees, gathering her into his trembling arms. "God, what have you been through?" he whispered, voice breaking as rain and tears blended on his face. The storm raged on, merciless. But in James's arms, Diep was shielded from it all. He carried her inside, wrapped her in a dry blanket, and sat beside her, his hand clutching hers, refusing to let go. That night, the rain didn't stop. But inside that small house, under the flickering glow of a single lamp, one man's silent vigil became her only warmth, a promise that she would never have to face the storm alone again.